The strange garden theft night was quiet. The stars shined above the small countryside village. Far from the city, in a lonely farmhouse, lived a man named Eli Stone. He was strong, quiet, and used to live a soldier's life. But now he wanted peace. He lived alone and grew vegetables in a modern greenhouse behind his house. Eli was proud of his garden. He worked hard every day. The vegetables grew big and fresh. He didn't sell them. He just loved taking care of them. It made him feel alive, but something strange was happening. For the past 3 nights, some of his vegetables had gone missing. Carrots, tomatoes, even some of the rare glowing radish he grew using special soil. At first, he thought it might be animals. Maybe raccoons or foxes, but there were no bite marks. Just clean cuts, like someone had picked them carefully. Eli felt uneasy. He didn't like mysteries. So, on the 4th night, he set up cameras and placed small traps around the garden. Not dangerous ones, just noise traps made from empty cans and strings. If anything moved, he would hear it. Then he waited. Midnight came. The wind was soft and the moon was full. Eli sat inside, watching the screen connected to his cameras. Nothing. Just the plants swaying gently. His eyes grew heavy. He almost fell asleep. Clink, clink. The sound of metal cans falling echoed from the garden. Eli jumped to his feet, grabbed his flashlight and a small taser, and ran outside. The night air was cold. His boots crunched against the gravel. He moved fast but quiet. His heart beat loudly. He pointed the flashlight toward the garden. At first, nothing. Then, a quick movement. A small shadow darted behind the tomato plants. Stop! Eli shouted. The figure froze. It was short, maybe the size of a child. Thin arms, strange shape. Not like any human. Eli stepped closer. The figure stood slowly. Its head turned toward him. His breath caught. It wasn't wearing normal clothes. Its skin was grayish blue. Eyes big and shining. And its hands, 3 long fingers holding a bunch of glowing radishes. They looked at each other for a moment. No one spoke. Then, the figure dropped the vegetables and ran. Hey! Eli shouted and chased it. It ran fast through the trees behind the farm. Eli followed. Branches hit his arms, but he didn't stop. The figure moved like it knew the forest. It leapt over rocks, ducked under branches. Suddenly, it disappeared into a dark cave hidden behind some fallen trees. Eli stopped outside the cave. He listened. He could hear soft breathing. Then, a cough. A weak, tired cough. He stepped inside carefully. The cave was damp and cold. He raised his flashlight, and what he saw made him freeze. There, in the corner, were 2 small alien children, lying on the ground. They were even smaller than the one he chased. Their eyes were closed. They looked sick, weak, maybe even dying. And beside them was the same figure, a female alien, breathing heavily, arms stretched out to protect her children. "Please," she said in a shaking voice. "Don't hurt them." Eli couldn't speak. His flashlight trembled in his hand. "We didn't mean to steal," she continued. "But my children are starving. We crashed here. We have no food, no help." Eli looked at the children. Their skin was pale. Their bodies so thin. He could see their ribs. He slowly lowered the taser. "You took my vegetables," he said. "Finally." "Yes," the alien mother whispered. "I had no choice." For the first time in many years, Eli felt something in his chest. Something he hadn't felt since the war. Pity. And a deep sadness. He looked at the 3 aliens. Tired, cold, and scared. He sighed. "Wait here," he said. "I'll bring food." The alien mother's eyes widened. "You will help us?" "I don't know why," Eli said. "But yes, just don't run." And with that, He turned and walked back to the farmhouse behind him, in the cave. Alien Mother whispered to her children, "We may have found a good one." Outside, under the stars, Eli walked with heavy thoughts. He came to catch a thief, but found a mother trying to save her children. It was not the first time. Eli had seen someone beg for life, but it was the first time it wasn't human. He stood outside the cave entrance, holding a cloth bag filled with food, fresh bread, carrots, and bottled water. As he stared into the darkness ahead, 100 thoughts ran through his mind. Was this a trap? Was he losing his mind? Or had Earth truly become a place where aliens now crashed and begged for food like refugees? The air around the cave was cold and still. Even the trees seemed to hold their breath. He stepped inside. The flashlight flickered across the stone walls. Shadows danced like ghosts. Then he saw her again, the alien mother. She was sitting on the cave floor, her arms wrapped around her 2 children. Their eyes were closed and their breathing was weak. Eli didn't speak. He slowly placed the bag near them and stepped back. The mother reached out with careful hands and opened the bag. She pulled out the bread first, tore off pieces, and gently placed them into the mouths of her children. The smallest one, the younger child, opened its eyes. They glowed faintly like stars under water. It looked up at Eli and gave a small, silent nod. It was a thank you. Eli sat down on a rock near the wall. He didn't ask questions yet. He just watched. The mother gave her children water, then ate a small bite herself. After a few quiet minutes, she looked up. "My name," she said softly, "is Sarah." Eli nodded slowly. "I'm Eli." Silence. "Why are you here?" he asked. Sarah took a breath. Her voice was strange, almost musical, but full of sorrow. "Our ship was small. It was not made for war. We were fleeing a burning sky." Eli frowned. "From where?" "A system far from yours," she answered. "A planet called Vela. It is gone now." "Gone?" "Destroyed," she said, her voice cracking. "A red storm took everything. We tried to warn others, but no one listened. We escaped, only us and a few others across the stars." She looked at her children again. "We were heading to a quiet planet, somewhere green, safe." "But you crashed here," Eli guessed. She nodded. "Something hit us. I don't know what. Our ship fell. We landed in the forest. It's broken now. We cannot fix it." Eli rubbed his hands together. He didn't know what to say. He had trained for war, lived through chaos. But this was something different, something bigger. "How long have you been here?" 14 days, Sarah said. "We hid, ate berries, but it was not enough." "And so you stole from my garden," Eli said. She lowered her head. "Yes, I saw your greenhouse. The food was clean, full of life. I waited until you slept. I was careful." Eli gave a small smile. "Not careful enough." Sarah looked at him, unsure if it was a joke. He leaned forward. "Why didn't you just ask?" Sarah's voice turned bitter. "Would you have believed me, Eli, if I had knocked on your door with this face?" She wasn't wrong. Eli stared at the cave floor for a long moment. Then he stood up. "Come with me." Sarah pulled her children close. "Where?" "I have space in my barn. It's dry, safer than this cave. You can hide there." She hesitated. "Why would you help us?" Eli didn't answer right away. Finally, he said, "Because you remind me of someone." Sarah didn't ask who. She helped her children stand. They were weak, but they could walk now, slowly. Eli led the way through the trees. The night was quiet again, but something had changed. A line had been crossed. A secret had begun. Back at the farmhouse, Eli cleared space in the back of the barn. He laid out old blankets and boxes. He brought extra water and simple food. Barn smelled of hay and dust, but to Sarah and her children, it felt like safety. "You can stay here," he said. "For now." Sarah placed her hand gently on his arm. "Thank you." "Human." Eli didn't smile. He just nodded and walked out. As he looked up at the stars above, he whispered to himself, "What the hell am I doing?" Inside the barn, Sarah looked at her children. They were already asleep. For the first time in days, they were warm and fed. But she knew this peace would not last. Not with the strange machines she saw in the sky yesterday. Not with the signals she had heard on her broken radio. Not with the humans who might come hunting. The barn smelled like old hay and lost memories. Eli stood in the doorway, watching the alien children sleep. They were wrapped in old blankets, their soft breathing the only sound in the dark. Their skin shimmered faintly, almost like moonlight on water. Beside them, the mother Sarah sat quietly, her eyes half closed but alert. He had never shared his home with anyone. Now he was hiding a family. From another planet. Morning came slow. The sky turned orange. Birds chirped. Everything outside looked normal. But inside Eli's mind, everything had changed. He walked into his kitchen and poured himself a cup of black coffee. He stared at the cup but didn't drink. His hand trembled slightly. "What am I doing?" he whispered. He wasn't just helping strangers. He was now protecting a secret that, if discovered, could bring the government, the military, maybe even war. But when he remembered the sick, thin children, their hollow eyes, he couldn't turn them away. Later that day, Eli checked the cameras around the farm. Nothing strange. No visitors. No signals. The outside world didn't know yet. Still, he felt watched. Sarah stayed hidden. The children slept most of the day. Their bodies were healing slowly. Eli brought them food again. Apples, milk, and soft bread. Sarah looked at him, calm but serious. "You are risking much," she said. Eli shrugged. "I've done worse things. For worse people." Sarah tilted her head. "You are a soldier." "Used to be," he said. "Why did you stop?" Eli didn't answer for a while. Then he said, "Because I saw too many people die. I followed orders, even when they were wrong." He looked at the alien children. "I don't follow orders anymore." That night, something happened. As Eli walked back to the house, he noticed a drone in the sky, small, silent, blinking red. It passed above the barn, then flew off into the woods. His heart dropped. "Someone's scanning this area," he thought. He ran back into the barn. "Stay inside. No lights." "No sound," he told Sarah. She looked worried. "They are searching? Maybe. I'll find out." Eli grabbed his old gear from a chest in his house, binoculars, scanner, and an old police radio. He climbed the hill behind his farm and listened. On the radio, he heard static, then a voice. "Unusual energy detected near Sector 14B. Dispatching ground unit to investigate." That was his area. The next morning, a black government vehicle drove up the dirt road to Eli's house. Two men in suits stepped out. One of them had a badge from the Department of Atmospheric Anomalies. They knocked on the door. Eli opened it calmly. "Good morning, sir," said the taller man. "We're checking for possible weather interference. Solar readings show spikes in this region. Mind if we take a quick look around?" Eli kept his face calm. "What kind of interference?" "Maybe just metal debris or radiation signals," the man replied. "Nothing dangerous." Eli smiled. "You won't find anything here." They looked around, scanned the greenhouse, checked the equipment, asked simple questions, friendly. But watching closely, one of them looked toward the barn. "That yours?" he asked. "Old storage," Eli said quickly. "Just tools and junk." The man nodded, but Eli saw the doubt in his eyes. After 20 minutes, The agents left. Eli stood on the porch until the car disappeared down the hill. Then he went straight to the barn. Sarah was waiting. She had heard everything. "They are close," she said. "They have sensors. They will return." Eli nodded. "We need a plan." That night, he sat at his table, staring at a map of his land. He marked safe paths, hiding spots, backup plans. The dilemma burned inside him. He could call someone. Turn them in. Let the government take over. Maybe they'd be kind. Maybe not. Or he could keep helping them. But if he got caught, it wouldn't just be prison. It could be war. The next day, Eli made a decision. He went to town, bought supplies. Blankets, canned food, tools, and a solar power pack. He didn't tell anyone why. Back home, he gave the pack to Sarah. "It'll help charge whatever tech you have left." Sarah took it silently. Then she looked at him closely. "Why are you doing this, Eli?" He paused. "I've seen what humans do when they're scared," he said. "But I've also seen what they can do when they choose hope." He looked at her. "Let's survive first, questions later." They came at sunrise. Not the soldiers. The crows. A black swarm of them circled the sky above Eli's farm, crying loudly. Hundreds of wings. Hundreds of dark eyes. The noise was sharp, unnatural, like they were warning the land of something coming. Eli stood outside, coffee in hand, watching them. His eyes narrowed. Birds don't act like that unless something's wrong, he thought. He looked toward the barn. Then to the woods. Then to the sky. Inside the barn, Sarah felt it too. Her skin shimmered with small pulses of light. Her senses were different than human, sharper. She could feel the air change. The trees no longer whispered safety. The world was turning cold again. Her children were awake, sitting quietly, chewing dried fruit Eli had brought. They had more color in their cheeks now. More energy. But Sarah knew peace like this didn't last. It never did. Eli spent the morning checking his land. Everything looked normal, but it felt off. The silence between the trees. The low hum in the air. The old scars in his soldier's brain began to itch. Then he saw it. A small, black device shaped like a pebble, hidden under a bush near the greenhouse. A listening device. Military tech. Someone had been here. Someone had left this. He took it apart quickly, crushed the transmitter, then walked back to the house in silence. Not panic, not yet, but something worse. Calculated fear. Inside, he opened a hidden drawer. Inside were items from his past. An old radio scanner, a loaded handgun, a folded U.S. Army map, and a set of ID cards he swore he'd never touch again. He turned on the scanner. Then voices. "Base command, this is Scout 3. Confirming. Unknown heat source near grid 48X. Matches class 3 anomaly. Roger. Dispatch team Alpha for on-ground confirmation." They were coming. Eli rushed to the barn. "You need to move," he told Sarah. "Now." Sarah stood. "What is it?" "They're sending a team. They think something strange is here. I found a listening device outside." Her face turned pale, or the alien version of pale. "I knew they'd find us. We don't have time. We'll move you to the cave again. They won't search that far until later." She nodded and quickly packed what little they had. Eli carried the smaller child. Sarah held the older one. They slipped through the back fence into the trees. As they disappeared into the forest, a black van rolled up the dirt road in the distance. 15 minutes later, the government team stepped onto Eli's land. This time, no suits. These were soldiers. Gray. Uniforms, masks, long scanners in hand. Quiet, cold. Eli stood at the gate, wiping sweat from his brow with a towel. He played it cool. The lead officer approached. "Sir, we're checking radiation signals. High levels were detected from this. Sector. May we look around? Eli nodded slowly. Sure. Be my guest. They moved fast, checked the greenhouse. The ground. The barn. Eli had left the barn open, filled it with trash and tools to look untouched. Still, one soldier paused inside. He bent down, picked up something. A small glowing thread. Alien fabric. He pocketed it quietly. Didn't say a word. Outside. The officer asked Eli, You live alone? Yup. See anything strange in the past week? Eli looked at him dead in the eyes. Just the price of gas. The soldier chuckled dryly. Then his radio buzzed. Alpha team to command. Nothing found. Area clear. Returning. The team. Pulled back, but not in a hurry. Not fully convinced. They would return. Eli could feel it. That night, Eli returned to the cave. The children were cold, hungry, tired of running. Sarah was quiet. Her hands trembled slightly. We can't live like this, she whispered. They will find us. Eli nodded. You're right. He sat down beside them and lit a small lantern. Then we stop hiding, he said. Sarah looked confused. What do you mean? We fight smart. We prepare. He looked into her eyes. You're not just refugees anymore. You're guests. And? I protect my guests. High above them, in orbit, something else blinked to life. A satellite no longer controlled by humans. It had picked up the heat signature too. And something else. Something moving beneath the Earth's crust. Something. Waking up. The alien child was drawing in the dirt. Not with crayons. Not with paint. With light. Tiny beams of glowing blue. Energy danced from his fingertip as he sketched strange symbols onto the cave floor. Symbols that shimmered like stars. Eli watched. In silence. He had seen kids draw before, on paper, on walls. In schoolyards, but never like this. And never while whispering to the dirt, Home, I miss home. Something was changing. It wasn't just the children getting stronger. The air felt heavier. The ground warmer. Like the planet itself had started to listen. Eli sat near the cave wall, facing Sarah, the alien mother. You said your planet was destroyed, he said. By a red storm? She nodded. A gravity wave. A cosmic rip. It started from the center of our star system, and it ate everything. And you were running from it? Not just running, she replied. We were escaping with knowledge, with something important. Eli's eyes narrowed. What kind of knowledge? Sarah hesitated. Her hands folded tightly in her lap. The kind that can change planets. She stood and walked deeper into the cave. There, hidden behind a rock wall, was a metallic case, cracked but still glowing faintly. She opened it. Inside was a sphere, no larger than a melon, floating silently above its base. Blue light pulsed inside it like a heartbeat. Eli stepped closer. What is that? Sarah spoke slowly, like she was choosing each word with care. This is memory. My people called it a seed of thought. It holds thousands of years of our science, our history, even our mistakes. Eli's throat tightened. And you brought it here? I didn't plan to, she said. But when our ship was falling, I grabbed it. If it breaks, our entire past will vanish. Eli looked at the glowing sphere. What does it do? Sarah turned to him. It can learn, adapt, heal. In the right hands, it can grow food and poison lands, build cities without harm, even repair broken planets. And in the wrong hands? Eli asked. Her face turned dark. It becomes a weapon, one no army can stop. Outside the cave, wind rushed through the trees. A low hum passed through the ground, so soft even Eli didn't notice, but Sarah did. She stood suddenly. Her skin flashed dimly. They are listening. Eli looked around. The military? No, she said quietly. Something else, older, below us. He stared at her, confused. What do you mean below? There are things under your earth, Eli, she whispered. Sleeping machines, ancient watchers. Your people never woke them. But this seed might. Later that night, Eli sat alone on the hill, watching the stars. He had always believed. Earth was alone, simple, quiet, small. Now he knew the truth. The universe was crowded, dangerous, and far older than humans could imagine. He thought of the seed of what it could do and of who might come looking for it the next day. Sarah taught her children how to read the planet's magnetic field using small crystal tools. They placed stones on the ground, watched how they turned, how they floated slightly. Earth had energy veins, something humans never studied. Eli helped where he could. But mostly, he watched and learned. He asked her, "Why do you trust me?" Sarah looked at him. "Because you didn't turn us in," she said. "And because when my child was starving, you gave him bread with your own hands. No weapon in the universe is stronger than that." But peace didn't last long. Eli's old army contact, a man named Rayner, sent a coded message through an old radio. Frequency. They know, Eli. They're tracking you. You have 2 days. Maybe less. Get out. Eli stared at the message, then looked out toward the barn, toward the forest. He knew he had to choose now. Run or fight. Back at the cave, the seed glowed brighter than before. The alien child placed his hand on it, and it responded. Images flashed through the cave wall, maps of the stars, blueprints of machines, living cities made of crystal and light, and at the center of them all, a symbol, a warning, a black sun. Sarah saw it and froze. No. There?
Already coming. Eli heard the fear in her voice. Who's coming?
He asked. She turned toward him, her voice shaking for the first time. The ones who destroyed my planet. They followed the signal. The secret died the moment the camera clicked. It was just one photo, one snapshot, taken from behind a broken fence by a curious neighbor named Marlene, an old widow with a loud voice and a quiet hobby, bird watching. But that morning, her binoculars saw something else, something glowing. She zoomed in with her phone and snapped a picture. A thin, blue-skinned child stepping out of Eli's barn. Child didn't see her, but the photo was clear, too clear. That same afternoon, Marlene walked into the sheriff's office in town. "Hey, Tom," she said cheerfully. "You ever seen a child that looks like this?" She showed the photo. Sheriff Tom raised an eyebrow. "Some kind of costume?" "I thought so too," but the kid's eyes glowed. No mask, and he was sneaking around Eli's farm. Tom stared at the picture a little too long. Then he smiled, nodded, and said he'd look into it. But that night he didn't call Eli. He called someone else. Back at the cave, Sarah felt the shift in the air. Again, but this time it wasn't a listening drone. It was a feeling, heavy, like the world was holding its breath. Sarah stepped outside and looked toward the distant hills. "They know," she whispered. Eli didn't know about the photo yet. He was inside the barn, running wires, installing a second solar panel. He had plans to move them again, deeper into the woods, into an old, abandoned mine. It wasn't perfect, but it would buy them time. That's when Rayner called again. No code this time. Just a short, panicked voice on the old radio. "They're mobilizing. Black unit, your location is hot." Somebody talked. Eli dropped the screwdriver in his hand. Somebody talked. That night, Eli stood outside Marlene's house. He knew she meant well. She wasn't cruel, just curious. She'd once brought him pie when his dog died, but curiosity had teeth. He knocked. She opened the door with a smile. "Oh, hey, Eli. Funny thing, you know. Did you go to the sheriff?" He asked directly. Her face froze. Well, just to show him something odd I saw. I thought, what did you show him? She hesitated, then stepped inside and returned with her phone. She showed him the picture. Eli stared at it. So sharp. So? Obvious. No way to deny it. Who else saw this? I posted it to my Facebook. Just for fun. People thought it was edited. Except, some guy messaged me asking for the exact location. Said he worked with NASA. Eli's heart dropped. That was not NASA. At 2:14 a.m. The sound of helicopters split the night. Sky. Dark shapes moved through the trees. Black vans rolled in without headlights. Soldiers in full armor surrounded the property. Inside the cave, the seed began to hum, sensing the threat. The children woke with a start. Sarah grabbed them and looked toward the tunnel Eli had dug, a narrow path leading out through the rocks, toward the hills. She whispered to them, "Stay quiet, stay close, run when I say." Outside, Eli stood beside the barn. Armed, ready. He had blocked off all the roads with fallen trees and scrap metal. It would slow them, but not stop them. The first drone came over the treetops. Eli fired. It crashed, sparks flying. The second made it through and sent a live image to the command unit. Target confirmed. Subject visible. Orders: secure the seed. Neutralize any resistance. Sarah and the children ran. The seed floated beside them, pulsing faster, brighter. It knew it couldn't fall into the wrong hands. And then a gunshot. Not at them. At Eli. He had taken position at the edge of the woods, creating a distraction. 3 soldiers moved in. He wounded one. Hid behind trees. Led them away from the cave. He had one goal: give the aliens time to escape. Sarah reached the ridge. From there, she saw it all: the barn in flames, the greenhouse destroyed, soldiers swarming the land. Eli once called home, and then silence. She wanted to run back, but the seed flashed a symbol in the air. When she knew well, sacrifice. She turned and disappeared into the trees. Eli was captured, bruised, bleeding, but alive. They dragged him into the clearing. Where are they? One officer shouted. Eli smiled through the blood. Gone. The stars didn't care. They blinked quietly above the earth, unaware of the blood, the fire, the choices made below. But someone was watching. High above the clouds, aboard a small cloaked ship drifting quietly through Earth's orbit, a woman, made of light and memory, stared down at the planet. Her name was Sierra. She was no longer just a mother. She was now a keeper of the last hope. 3 days earlier, they had escaped through the mountain tunnel Eli had built beneath the cave, narrow, dark, and damp. Behind them, the sky burned orange from fire. Eli's farm was gone. The seed guided them. It floated ahead like a silent compass, choosing paths that avoided patrols, scanners, and drones. At one point, they walked straight under a hovering ship, and it didn't see them. The seed is protecting us, Sarah whispered to her children. Or Eli is. On the 4th night, they reached the clearing, a secret location Eli had marked on a map. It was quiet, overgrown with vines and thyme. And in the center sat something buried beneath the soil. Eli's gift. An old alien escape pod, half repaired. He'd been working on it without telling anyone. Wires still hanging. Panels unfinished. But the core was active. He had believed they might need it. And now they did. The children worked beside their mother, reassembling parts using energy tools connected to the seed. It helped them learn fast. What would take a team days, they did in hours. The ship began to glow again. The core hummed, but time was short. Back at the military facility, Eli sat in a dark cell. They had questioned him for hours, days, but he told them nothing. One officer shouted. You helped them escape. You gave them weapons. Eli only smiled and said one word, good. They threatened him with charges, called him a traitor. He stayed silent until one night, a young guard asked him quietly, were they really aliens? Eli looked up with tired eyes. They were children. The guard said nothing more, but the next day, Eli's cell door was unlocked and no one saw who did it in the forest clearing. Syrah's pod was ready the children were inside. She stood under the moonlight, looking one last time at the world Eli tried to protect. She opened the seed and recorded a message, not for her kind, but for his. She looked into the orb and with a steady voice said, this planet is wounded, but it still dreams. A man gave us shelter, knowing it would cost him everything. He was not perfect, but he was kind. In the stars, kindness is more rare than gold. So if you find this message, remember Eli. Remember that humanity was worth saving. She placed the seed into a capsule and launched it skyward, not toward her people, but into Earth's orbit, hidden like a satellite. A message for the future. The ship rose silently from the forest floor, light bending around it like water. And then it vanished into the sky. No sound, no smoke, no trail. Only peace. Years later, on a quiet video channel few people followed, HFYC5, a story appeared. It was told in pieces, about a farmer, a thief who wasn't a thief. About strange vegetables. And a mother who crossed the stars for her children. People called it fiction. Some laughed, some shared it, but some felt it was real. One day, far in the future, when Earth would need help again, a hidden satellite would awaken. It would whisper to the skies, there is still good here. There is still Eli.